because I'm dying to know how he feels about some of the films around. For example, Mean Streets, which I think was probably the best American film of the last year, and I think it's the real scandal of the Academy Awards that it didn't get a nomination. How did you feel about it, Woody?
I agree wholeheartedly. I thought it was the most fascinating and the best film that I've seen in probably a few years. I mean, it really was remarkable to me. First of all, I thought it was incredibly modern. You know, it made everything else seem creaky. Even terrific pictures like On the Waterfront or Bonnie and Clyde, it made them seem creaky. With it had a modernity to it because it has. First of all, I respond very well to improvisation. I like that a lot. And it had a random quality to it, a kind of ambling quality where scenes, there I thought scenes were picked up for a moment, little scene, and then kind of dropped and thrown away in the best sense. And
yes, I love that about it too, and I think it's one of the things that the Hollywood people don't understand about it. They think it isn't well structured. I think you couldn't be more wrong. I think it's so personally structured that they don't understand it, and that's what makes it seem so modern, the way it flowed.
That's what I thought. I thought that it was truly like a new piece of music or something where, a breakthrough in structure, because for some reason there was, your attention was held throughout the whole thing, and yet if you look at it, it was incredibly rambling and indulgent in spots, and yet I could see, when I saw that picture, I could stay in the theater and sit through it again immediately because it was so incredibly fresh because of the way that it was done, between the improv. I thought all the performances in it were good, I mean, really good. I thought De Niro was remarkable, truly remarkable. I mean, I thought that was the most exciting for me, the most exciting performance I had seen since Marlon Brando years ago. I mean, I thought that this was a guy that just was touched with
he
the
really
good thing.
has it. He's been doing phenomenal work in rather obscure movies in recent years, and then here in this picture he did that bravura, flamboyant work that nobody else around can do, and of course he's young and he just did it with all that assurance, and of course he played so beautifully with Harvey Keitel, who I thought was remarkable.
Me too. I thought he was wonderful. I thought the performances were wonderful, and the style of the film was wonderful, and there was no, there was a true vision in that film. The director truly had a vision, I thought, he had something to say, and it was though he could only make that statement in the form that he made it, and I thought it was really a remarkable film. And the proof of it to me is that films that I've loved, like Bonnie and Clyde, which I thought was a great film, seem creaky next to it.
I think that's true, because in a way, this is the real new generation. This is somebody who uses film as his own medium in a very different way from, say, someone who has come from the stage or from television, someone who's working in a more committee-like setup. I mean, you felt that this was all his. I mean, even though he had a co-writer, an old school friend, I think, an old buddy who had been through the same experiences with him, you do feel that this is the only way he could have expressed it, and this was his life. And of course that isn't true of Bonnie and Clyde, which I adored. I mean, it is a breakthrough movie, and it's
great film.
But this is already the next decade. Ever since really Godard, I think, broke through. I think he really changed the whole course of movies so much, because now we just don't look for the same kind of structure. We don't look for that impersonal kind of movie. Now we want something else. I mean, you want the movie director as artist, but it is true that now when we go to a movie, what we hope for is that, at least for me, I hope for that beautiful integration. It's what I feel in Bertolucci's work. And it's, of course, it's what Godard really, I think, was the first one to have to that degree.
Right,
farther.
Exactly. There's an involvement. It's what Salinger wrote about, reading the book and wanting to call up the author after, if you're...
Sure.
And that's exactly, and I did feel that with Mean Streets, that there was, in some way he managed to make his own personal, specific, highly special experience totally universal. Now, I don't think the picture has done well commercially across the United States.
Well, it has not been helped by the company's campaign. It has the worst ads of any
Right.
movie around.
4 honorable men and Johnny.
It unfortunately is the case that the movie was made for peanuts. I think it was made for something like $380,000. And then when it was purchased by Warner's, I don't think they respected it since it was made for so little. And of course, unfortunately, Warner's has The Exorcist this year and is putting everything behind The Exorcist because they want prestige as well as money. And they have simply let Mean Streets die. They haven't even opened it anywhere. I understand they don't think it has any commercial potential in the rest of the world, whereas I think it's really the movie of the year.
Yes, and there's no question in my mind about that either. But I'll tell you something interesting, and I guess sad in a certain way. I saw Mean Streets a few times in East Side Cinema. There were some people in the audiences that were just crazy for that film. They had seen it before. They were yelling things. I mean, they were just in love with it, as I was. There were a good number of people in the audience that left after both times I saw that couldn't get with it, that found
But this
it
is true for
brutal
every
and-
breakthrough movie.
Sure, I
really
understand
is.
that. But when I saw The Exorcist, which I saw coincidentally on 2 consecutive nights, two groups of people that I was with socially.
You mean you
it
saw
took
that
me-
damn thing twice?
I saw it twice, 2 consecutive nights at 2 different theaters, because it was just a funny coincidence.
Did you like it better the second time or less?
I had the same feeling both times about it. I mean, but the audience feeling was very interesting because the audience was led to believe, and this is really a positive response, the audience was led to believe that they were going to see something truly special on that screen. And when they came out of the theater, most of them felt that they had seen it. Most of them felt,
Right.
I didn't find it a scary picture, but the scenes in the bedroom with the little girl, several of them, were so shocking to that audience, not frightening, but shocking, that when they opened the door and the girl was on the bed and they'd play out 2 minutes of her screaming and smashing her mother and then slam the door on the girl, the audience would burst into spontaneous applause both times, as kind of a tour de force. You know, what you would think on stage would be Willy Loman or something. I mean,
Sure.
and when they left that theater, well, of course, they were all disappointed for the first hour. They all felt, you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
they
it was a
wanted the
slow
big
hour.
stuff,
And
sure.
then when they got into that, it was an interesting thing to me because the audience was leaving and they were telling their friends, you've got to see this if you don't see it, because there was a special quality to it.
They'd had it. They were satisfied.
They were
They'd gotten the
satisfied.
shocking. I think if Warner's gave any thought at all to Mean Streets, if they used some of the press reviews, if they gave people a sense of what the movie was like,
Would help, no
I think
question
it would help
about
us
it.
tremendously. You have to have some sort of expectation. There's so
I
many
think that would all
ways.
help it. You know, I don't know in the end, over the broad mass of the country, if living in Little Italy for 2 hours, as you actually did, he just thrust you down there, and would mean anything. I don't know. I would hope it would, because it was.
I mean, I have a lot of faith in the audience because I think it is a young audience that is willing to give a movie a chance. That the company has to have enough faith in a movie, has to be willing to go with it and prepare the public for it. But if the company itself doesn't believe in it, if they don't know what it is, and I think often in Hollywood they don't. I mean, Billy Friedkin is a director they understand, whereas Martin Scorsese is a director they don't understand.